Here tonight by former President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. Ambassador Bolton, when you look at this measure that was put in place to keep former Confederates from returning to power, I mean, what do you make of it being used here?
I think it's completely misplaced. I think this Colorado Supreme Court decision is badly wrong for multiple reasons. Number one, the 14th Amendment provides that Congress can pass legislation to carry its provisions into effect, which Congress has done on many aspects. It has not put anything with respect to Section 3 on the books since just after the Civil War. Second, the idea that 50 different state courts can decide a question involving the highest elective office in the executive branch, interpreting the federal Constitution as to what constitutes an insurrection against the federal government is incoherent. And I think undoubtedly the Supreme Court's going to have to clear that up. In terms of what the framers of the 14th Amendment meant, I think it's quite clear that the radical Republicans in Congress who wanted to suppress the secessionist advocates and governments of the southern states that succeeded would not provide, on this critical question of the offices that are going to be denied to people who broke their oath to the United States, that you're going to put decision-making authority on that in the hands of the states, including the former secessionist states. That, if that was their intention, they were delusional when they did it. So I'd be willing to bet a small amount of money here that the Supreme Court, if it gets to the merits of this, if it has to, will reverse. There's no other logical way you can apply this, and it would sow chaos in elections as far as the eye could see.
Well, and I think it's important for people, maybe if they don't watch The Source every night and haven't heard from you since you left working for Trump when he was president, you have been quite critical of him and the idea that he could be back in office. But you're saying that the way that should be achieved, if that's what someone is trying to do here, shouldn't be through a ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court, that it should be a decision for the voters. Is that what you're saying?
Well, ultimately it should be, but if this case, and I do think the Supreme Court will take it, they should not let this kind of erroneous decision rest out there, because other cases are going to be brought. You can see it already. This has to be something that Congress itself, if they want to enact legislation, which they haven't done for 150 years, about what the meaning of Section 3 is, then it's not up to the states to make it up as they go along.
I do want to, one thing, if maybe you'll disagree with this because it is a state Supreme Court, but you have said that January 6th wasn't a coup, that it was just stumbling around from one idea to another, what happened that day. But what do you make of the state Supreme Court saying that this was, what happened on January 6th was an insurrection?
Look, I think January 6th was one of the worst days in American history, and I think everybody who participated in it should be in jail for a very long time. But the framers of the 14th Amendment, I think, knew what they meant by insurrection. They had just been through one. How significant was it? Killed soldiers, leaving civilian casualties out. Fatalities in the war among Confederate and Union soldiers were 620,000. That's an insurrection. What happened on January the 6th was a disgrace, a stain on our country's history. It was a riot. It was not an insurrection. Now, if Congress disagrees with that, they've got authority under Section 5 of the 14th Amendment to legislate, which they have certainly not rushed to do.
Yeah, though they haven't rushed to do much legislating, I should note, even members of Congress would acknowledge that. But I want to ask you about something that Trump did say on the campaign stage tonight. He did not mention this ruling, but he did repeat something that we have heard him say not once, not twice, but now 3 times tonight. This is what he told the audience.
And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way.
I don't think you have to have read Mein Kampf to have quoted Hitler, which we had noted. His comments were comments that were very similar to ones made by Hitler about Jews poisoning the blood of the country. Trump was saying that illegal immigrants were poisoning the blood of the country. Are those comments appropriate, Ambassador Bolton?
No, they're disgusting. I mean, really vile, and appealing to base racist instincts. It's just one more example why Trump is not fit to be president. But I have to say, we've had in 100,000 years of human history a lot of racists. Not all of them are equivalent to Hitler. There's only been one Hitler, one Holocaust. And I think when people too readily compare Trump to Hitler, they're not demonizing Trump, they're normalizing Hitler. And I think that's a big mistake. I think, look, just let's forget the complicated morality and history. Let's just deal with rhetoric and PR. When you overstate a case, you misstate the case. And when you misstate the case by criticizing Trump, you give him the opportunity to rebut it and score points against you. There's plenty of things to be said about why Donald Trump is not fit to be president. There's no need to overstate it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was language that was similar to what was used by Hitler. I think just comparing the language itself.
Look,
Ambassador John Bolton.
It's a blood libel. There's no question it's a blood libel, but you got to be careful about invoking Hitler. It's very, very significant.
Ambassador John Bolton, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Up next, I'll be joined by a Republican who voted against overturning the 2020